And I'd say that's a wonderful song to get us started today. So hello, everybody, once again, and welcome into the MLA Kitchen. I am back at my mother's house in Bel Air, Maryland, as we are getting ready for the Thanksgiving celebration. I'm just going to go ahead and get my pie crust prepped and ready, and then I'll do a more formal introduction because we're going to cook our pumpkin pie today in 2 different stages. So very first and foremost, don't forget, we send all of the recipes at the end of the webinar. So don't be too busy trying to write down all of those ingredients. Okay, we're going to send you the full recipe at the end to cook this delicious and wonderful pumpkin pie. But what I did is I just started with a normal pie crust. So any family recipe for pie crust will do. This just happens to be the traditional pie crust that we use here in our household. So we've gone ahead and put it into our pie dish. I've gone ahead and crimped the edges. I like to use it the old style way with just using a fork. Of course, you can do it, pinching it around the sides if that's what you preference. Any type of a pie crust will do, but we want to go ahead and get this in the oven because we're going to bake our crust without any of the pumpkin filling for 10 minutes before we go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my egg wash. Egg wash is really simple. It's 1 beaten egg, 1 tablespoon of milk. So just a little bit of egg wash. This is going to give this crust an amazing color. You'll see when it comes out at the end what I'm talking about. The color is fabulous. So just around the top of the crust, you're going to brush this egg wash around. And this is going to give it this fabulous golden color. And then we're going to use pie weights. So you can get pie weights. You may have pie weights, but the easiest thing to do is use some dried beans. So in my case, I'm just using some dried chickpeas that I had in my pantry. And that's what we're going to use today for our pie weights. And that's going to prevent the crust from bubbling up. So we want the crust to stay flat so when we put our filling in it. So here's my pie weights. I have it in a round piece of parchment paper. Okay, so right inside of my pie, evenly distribute them. This doesn't look as delicious as the original, right? So that's our pie weights and our pie crust inside. Now, we've got our oven. I already preheated this morning to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I did the conversion for you on the recipe. We're going to go straight into our preheated oven today. And we're going to let this go for 10 minutes. And that's going to go ahead and get our crust started. So let me go ahead and get our timer. All right. So now our crust is in the oven. That's the first step. That's going to take about 10 minutes. While we're doing that, we're going to get to do our pumpkin pie filling. But let me take just a minute to give you another big welcome from the United States and from all of the family here at MLA Move Language Ahead. It's so exciting to have you back with us for another episode of MLA Kitchen as we enter this holiday season. For the United States, the holidays start with us with Thanksgiving, and it carries all the way through Christmas and New Year's and Hanukkah and whatever you celebrate during this really special time of year. And I think it's a time of year that, especially this year, we can all really find very important to us is, how we have to change things, what we've been doing in our everyday lives. And especially in the United States, it's about family. Thanksgiving is a time to bring people together, where families see each other. We fly in from all corners of the United States to get to do that. And this year, things look a little different. So we're not going to be having the really big Thanksgiving celebration that we typically would. I'm still going to have the privilege of celebrating with my family. So my wife, my brother, my mom and dad, and my in-laws are going to get together. But missing this year is going to be my aunts and uncles, my cousins, and my grandparents. Both my grandparents, who are in their 80s, are not going to join us this year for safety reasons. And I think that's important. We all have to make sacrifices, but they're all going to be in our hearts and our thoughts when we sit around the table tomorrow to enjoy the meal. And don't worry, we're preparing them a full Thanksgiving feast that we're going to drop off to their home. So they're going to get the turkey and all of the trimmings, and also, of course, some of the pumpkin pie today with that. So as I said, Thanksgiving is a multiple day preparation in our house. So the turkey, which this year we are cooking a 19-pound turkey, has already been thawing inside of our refrigerator. So we're getting that ready to be able to cook tomorrow. My mom is over here. Let me tilt the camera. You might remember my mom from our Mother's Day episode. She's over here now. Say hi, Mom.
Hi there.
So she's actually working right now. She's prepping our centerpiece that we're going to use for our tables. the table setting is just as important as a Thanksgiving tradition as anything else, and nobody does it better than my mom. So we've got a great setup. And I think at the end of today's webinar, we'll go in, we'll give you a sneak peek of what our table looks like that we're going to be joining at tomorrow for our day of Thanksgiving. So you'll see here in the corner, prepping our Thanksgiving centerpiece. We've got our pie crust, which is pre-baking now inside of the oven. And I'm going to go ahead and get started making our filling that's going to go inside of our pumpkin pie. So the other thing is, presentation is so important. It's to all of us, right? So it's like what we love doing is I love making things look nice. I took some of my extra pie dough and I just used some cookie cutters and I cut out some little leaves. So little leaf shapes with some cookie cutters. This is just the extra pie dough from when I trimmed around the edges of that. We're going to bake this off later, and you're going to see how we can garnish our pie at the end and make it look really terrific. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started with our traditional pumpkin pie filling. Now, depending upon where you are in the United States, people have different desserts, and it's really different regions have different things. But the one thing that we can all agree about is pumpkin pie belongs at a Thanksgiving table. Pumpkin pie is one of the original harvests. The pumpkin crop is native to the United States. So when Thanksgiving was celebrated back in the early 1600s, this is the traditional filling that they did inside of their pie. Now, when you go up to the northern part of the United States, I'm talking about like Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, they enjoy apples. Apple pie is going to be their #1 dessert. When you're talking about the middle of the country, so that's like where we are. So like Maryland, all the way going over. So Illinois, Ohio, North Dakota, South Dakota, all the way out to California, this pumpkin pie tends to be our favorite. If you go all the way to the south, all the way to the bottom of the United States, or states like Florida, states like Texas, Louisiana, their favorite pie is pecan pie. So it's the pecan nut, a filling that's like molasses inside that's really sweet. And that's the traditional pie for them. But I think pumpkin pie is really traditional, and it's really traditional for the original Thanksgiving. So that's what we're going to go ahead and get started with today. So for our pumpkin pie filling, the most important thing is going to be the pumpkin. So what you want to do is you want to get some pumpkin puree. This is a can of pumpkin puree that we can easily get at our grocery store. If you can't find this readily at your grocery store, you can actually take a squash, a pumpkin, and you can bake it off in the oven. And then you can actually take the pulp of that, the inside of it, and you can get the same puree. This is 15 ounces of our pumpkin puree. That's going to be the base of our pumpkin pie. So we're going to go ahead and put this whole can inside of our bowl here. Make sure to scrape it all out. All right, that looks good. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use some brown sugar. So this is going to be, brown sugar is a little bit different from like the brown sugar that you use with a coffee. This is like the brown sugar for baking. So don't get this confused with the raw sugar. Like if you were taking an espresso and you would take a packet of the raw sugar. But some baking brown sugar is going to go in here. You can use light brown sugar or dark brown sugar. This is 1 cup and 1/4 of our brown sugar. We're going to put that right inside of our mixture. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and crack 3 eggs. We're going to use the whole egg. So we're using both the white and the yolk right inside of our dish. So that's 1 egg inside. We're going to take egg number 2. All right, and we've got egg number 3. Lots of people saying hi on the chat. Angela says hello to mom.
Hi there.
All right, we got lots of people following on. If you have any questions, don't forget, you can always raise your hand. I'll do my best to try to unmute your microphone. Otherwise, you can always write us in the chat, and I'll do my best to read the chat as we move along. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 3 eggs, our brown sugar, and our pumpkin puree. We're going to go ahead with our whisk, and we're going to go ahead and get this all whisked together. So whisk all it in together until it's nice and fine. What you want to see is all that sugar, you want to see that dissolve into the egg and into the pumpkin. So you're going to get this really nice mixture. First of all, the smell of pumpkin pie is incredible. because you've got the smell of the brown sugar, the smell of the pumpkin, and then you have all these beautiful spices that I'm going to talk to you about later on. We just call them in general pumpkin pie spices because we typically only use them when we make pumpkin pie. But they're really fantastic and they're super fragrant. So the smell is really awesome. All right, so here we go. So here is our mixture right now. This is the brown sugar, the pumpkin, and the egg. So you can see that everything has come together well. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our liquids. So this is 1 cup of cream. So heavy cream is gonna go inside. The cream is going to make the inside of our pumpkin pie like velvet. It's gonna be very smooth. So very smooth texture. That's what I think we love about pumpkin pie too, is this texture, this velvety smooth texture on our tongue. And then I have 1/4 cup of milk. This is whole milk. You can use reduced fat milk, whatever milk you want, but this is 1/4 cup of milk inside. Don't forget, I sent you the recipe at the end of today's webinar, and I've already done the conversion for you, so you have some milliliters as well. So don't worry about the conversions from what I'm saying for you today. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our dry ingredients. Now, a little bit unusual, we're gonna put some cornstarch. Cornstarch is gonna go inside of our pie. This is what's gonna hold it together. So this is what's gonna bind it all together. So the cornstarch and the egg is gonna give that really good pie texture inside. This is 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Okay, so let's get it all in there, right into our bowl. Perfect. I'm also going to use 1/2 teaspoon of salt, just a regular sea salt is going to go right inside. And now let's talk about our spices. So our spices are going to be a combination. Number 1, we're going to use cinnamon. I'm going to use a whole teaspoon of cinnamon inside of the pie. And then we're going to use another teaspoon or 1.5 teaspoons, however much you like spice in your pumpkin pie, a pumpkin pie spice. Now, obviously, you probably don't buy pumpkin pie spice in your country, but I can tell you that pumpkin pie spice is a combination of ginger, nutmeg, clove. Sometimes some people put some star anise inside of it. So it's a whole mixture going to be inside of it. This one has cinnamon, ginger, lemon peel, nutmeg, cloves, and cardamom inside this pumpkin pie spice. I, on the recipe, have given you a complete breakdown of the spices that I'm using today. So this is about 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. It's going to go right inside. If you like extra spice, if you like those cinnamon notes and that smell, go ahead and put a little bit more in. You really can't go wrong. All right, that is our timer. Perfect. So let's see, timer off. And let's go ahead and get our crust out. So this is crust. It's not fully baked. This is what we call par baked. So it's just enough to get the crust started off. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this out now. Wonderful. Right on our counter to let that cool. Let the oven get back up to temperature. And we're gonna finish mixing up our inside here. So here we go with our spices, our cream, and our milk. Everything is together. Don't forget that cornstarch. The one thing that's a little bit interesting that you wouldn't expect to find in a sweet dessert, but I always like to do something interesting when I'm cooking, is I'm gonna put a little bit of cracked black pepper inside of the pumpkin pie spice. This is gonna give it, like I said, just that really unique taste. When people ask, they're like, wow, what is that spice? It's always gonna be something different. A lot of times I like to add pepper. I don't like super sweet things. If you remember me from the springtime when we're cooking desserts and cookies and things, I like to put a little bit of sea salt, like on top of my chocolate cookies. So I like to have unexpected flavors when I do that. So a little bit of black pepper inside. Now you've got this beautiful liquid pumpkin pie filling. And what we want to do is we want to now carefully move our pie weights from our pie. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we are going to put our pumpkin pie filling directly inside of our crust that we have now baked off here. All right. So here comes our mixture. We've got this all mixed together. Give it one more quick turn. You want to just fill this 2/3 of the way. So you don't want to fill it over the top. You don't want it to bubble over. It will make a mess in your oven. So you're just going to go 2/3 of the way to the top, and then you're going to stop right there. Perfect. Out of here. All right. So now you can see this is our pumpkin pie. It's got the filling inside of it. Be careful too. The baking dish, remember, just came out of the oven, so it's hot. All right. So make sure that you're using your pans. Be careful. The crust is already what I consider to be light golden brown. And then that's because we did the pre-bake. And then when it goes back into the oven, it's going to get that really dark golden brown color. So we're going to go back in the oven now. And this is where you want to be careful to make sure that you get the pie in. You don't want to spill it. Perfect. All right. Voila. Excellent. Okay. Our pie is in. Now, for the next step, 1 second, I gotta just make one adjustment here. All right, so now we're gonna set our oven timer. This is gonna bake for 50 minutes, 50 minutes inside of our oven until the center becomes just a little bit jiggly. But after 20 minutes, I want you to check the crust. If the crust looks like it's becoming dark golden brown, you're gonna take some aluminum foil, or tin foil. You're gonna put it around the sides. My mom happens to have what's called a pie crust protector. So you can just take this ring and set it right on top of the pie crust. But if you don't have one of these clever gadgets, you just want to take some aluminum foil and put it around the crust so the crust doesn't burn. Okay, so check that after 20 minutes, but it's going to go inside for 50 minutes. So let's set the timer here. All righty, 50 minutes. And we're on. Okay, so we are cooking. So our pumpkin pie is in there. It's gonna start to get the house smelling fantastic as it sets up. You know that it's done when you can just jiggle the pie. The center is gonna wiggle just a little bit, okay? But the edges should be pretty set. When it continues to cool outside of the oven, that center will come together, all right? So don't be afraid if it jiggles just a little bit. You don't want it to be liquidy. You want it to jiggle like Jell-O. Okay, so that's what we want. All right, so let's check it on Mom. How's the centerpiece going over here?
Almost done.
Look at that. That's good timing.
Karson always likes to tweak it a little bit, though, but
I think it looks pretty good. So there you go. We've got all of our fall colors in there. It's going to look great inside of the dining room. All right, so here's the deal. So because we only have a little bit of time to spend together on our webinar today, I've gone ahead and I made a pie for you guys last night. And that way you get to see exactly what our finished pumpkin pie is going to look like. So let me go ahead and get our pie out that we've already baked off for you. And we can take a look at that. Voila. Oh my God, it just looks and smells delicious. So here we go. Coming in for the close-up. Here is our finished pumpkin pie that we will be serving at tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Look at the crust. That crust became that really nice golden brown color. So that's after 20 minutes in the oven. Okay, and then we protected the crust by putting a foil around the outside, and the center is just set. So there's no wiggle inside of that crust right now. So that's where it's gonna be. Now, like I said, I like to do garnishes on my pumpkin pie. I like to make things look really nice because I think we all eat with our eyes first. So what I did is I did some sugared cranberries. Cranberries are another traditional Thanksgiving food item. So I just did some sugared cranberries, and these are our leaves that I made with our leftover pie dough. So I used these little cookie cutters, okay, and I pressed the little extra doughs out. So that's what we're gonna use here. So while I show you how I like to have a slice of my pumpkin pie, you're gonna get to see the finished product here. So of course, with pumpkin pie, you need a little bit of whipped cream. Whipped cream is excellent on pumpkin pie. So let's go ahead and get a slice out here to show you. All right, so let's go ahead and cut into this pie. The knife goes right through because it's that beautiful silky texture. The crust on the edge has a nice bite.
do we have to wait till tomorrow?
I think we can try a little bit. I think we can try a little bit today. Don't
Don't
tell my dad and my brother. So, but Mom and I are going to sneak a piece of this just to make sure that it tastes delicious. Look at the side of the pumpkin pie here. So you can see the center of it has set up really well. So let's go ahead and put this on our plate. Yummy. This looks really good. So now I like whipped cream. Some people like ice cream on side of it. You can do fresh whipped cream if you like, but in the United States, we use canned whipped cream, of course. So here we go. A little bit of whipped cream on the top. I like to take one of my little leaves and I'll put my little leaf on it. And then you want to garnish it with a couple of our candied cranberries just off to the side. And look at that. Here we have our finished piece of Thanksgiving pumpkin pie that you would be proud to serve at your Thanksgiving table. I think that looks absolutely delicious.
It does.
So let's go
He's
ahead
in
now.
charge of pumpkin pie from now on.
I'm the pumpkin pie guy for the house whenever we do this. So here we go. We're going to take a picture for the Instagram page for MLA. So you can go to Instagram, MLA Vacanza Studio. You'll get to see this pie up later. And you can say that you attended our webinar. Don't forget, we always want to see your cooking as well. So make sure to go on to our things. Post a picture when you make this pumpkin pie, hashtag MLA moments. We'll put them up on our Instagram story so we can see what your pie looks like too. All right, should we go ahead and show them our table?
Sure.
So here we go. We're gonna move the camera a little bit. So let's go ahead. Let me see if I can switch our camera. So
We should mention that when your aunt comes, though, she does make pumpkin pie from scratch.
my aunt does
From a
make
real
a
pumpkin.
fabulous pumpkin pie. That's right. So she makes the real pumpkin. She actually takes the pumpkin in there and she bakes the pumpkin. So she doesn't the canned puree. So here we go. I'm going to put the spotlight onto my camera here, and you're going to get to go ahead and see. All right, so here we go. All right, we're going to take you inside now to our Thanksgiving table. We're going to follow my mom in here. This is where we are having our Thanksgiving meal. We have it set. We're going to put our centerpiece inside. So this is at my mom's house here in Maryland. Like I said, she always does so well with the tables and everything else. We have these fabulous tablecloths because my mom actually is a fabric salesperson. So she is a vice president for sales for a company that does fabric. So we always have the best tablecloths. Here is our finished centerpiece that we'll be enjoying. And then, of course, we have all of our serving pieces out here. So where we're going to be putting our pie, we're going to have our stuffing, we're going to have our mashed potatoes, we have sweet potatoes. I'm going to be roasting some Brussels sprouts tomorrow. We have all kinds of vegetables inside things. And then, of course, desserts. So in addition to the pumpkin pie, we're going to be enjoying some little apple cookies or apple tarts, and we have some pecan bars that we're going to use as well. So this is what it's going to look like for our Thanksgiving table. So here we are back in the kitchen. The pie is going on. I think it is time for us to try some pie. So here we go. Let's go back now and see if we can get this camera on. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look here. It's time to try our pie. So let's go ahead and get a fork.
Yeah.
I have a fork too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I saw one fork.
You try.
It looks delicious.
I like a little bit of whipped cream with my bite. A little bit of crust on the bottom.
Very good.
Mhm.
Excellent.
That's good pie.
And you don't really taste the pepper in it either. It just enhances. I think it just brings out the flavor.
Yeah,
Really good.
I think it works with like the cinnamon and the nutmeg and everything else. So it's good. I like to also eat my little cranberries.
Yeah, I go in for second piece now.
Very delicious. Guys, it is amazing for you guys to join us again. I hope you enjoyed so much being with us for this special edition of MLA Kitchen. Happy Thanksgiving to all of my American friends out there, but to all of my friends around the world. We have so much to be thankful for. We appreciate you being part of the MLA family. I hope that you get to enjoy these special holidays coming up with your family and friends. We look forward to seeing you very soon. we have a very special invitation for all of you next Saturday. So not this Saturday, but December the 5th. We are all coming together for our MLA convention. It is a virtual MLA convention. We are so excited to be relaunching our programs for face-to-face learning for summer 2021. This convention is going to be open to both parents, students, and group leaders alike. What I'd like to do now is I'm going to share with you the registration link inside of the chat. So let me share this link for you all. I want you to all go to this website right here inside of your chat, and I'd like you to register for that convention. We have a lot of things to announce. We're going to tell you how we plan on returning back to our face-to-face learning programs, how we're going to be doing it safely with safety in mind for both our students, our staff members, and our group leaders alike. We're going to be telling you about how we've modified our programs, some new initiatives that we have coming up, and a brand new formula of how we're going to be able to take both online learning and face-to-face learning in the summertime and give you a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So please don't forget, go to that link that I just sent you in the chat, register for the MLA convention. It's going to be next Saturday. So this Saturday, December the 5th, it's going to be in Italian time. I think it's 4 p.m. So don't miss out for registering for that. This webinar is open to group leaders, families, and students. It's the first time that our conference is going to be open to families and students alike. So if you have a voucher from last year and you are excited to travel again, if you are ready to get out of your home and you are ready to come back to the UK, if you want to come back to the US, if you want to go to Canada, now is the time. Please register for that conference. I will be there with all of my colleagues. We are so excited and ready to welcome you guys back when it's safe to do so, hopefully for summer 2021. From my family in Baltimore, Maryland to you, happy Thanksgiving. We hope you guys enjoyed today's webinar.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you later, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.